Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a coach, a change consultant, and a career counsellor. I work with one-to-one clients and larger organisations to help them explore who they are or the problem at hand, identify the changes that they wish to make in order to feel fulfilled. I'm a qualified executive coach, a licensed career counsellor, and a specialist in imposter syndrome. Ultimately, I want to help humans be the very best version of themselves and create the environments where they can thrive. In the inclusion and diversity space, we often talk about unconscious bias experiences, whether they be ours or the ones that we experience with others. In this short session today, we will explore where those biases could stem from. And to do this, we're going to walk through something called the Iceberg Theory. The American writer Ernest Hemingway first coined this theory, and he named it because only a small part of the iceberg is visible above water. Hemingway's stories presented only a small part of what was actually happening, and the rest was left to the reader's imagination. So if you think about an iceberg and relate it to a person, how much do you actually see? Now, we're not going to get into global warming today, that's a different topic. But for the purpose of this model, we would say that about 10 to 20% is visible, and the key is that the majority is hidden from view. So if we do relate this to a person, what do we actually see? Think about it. You'll see their eye contact. You will see their appearance, the way that they've dressed. You will hear their words, the phrases that they use, the actions, the energy that they put into something. And we can summarize all of that as their behavior or their actions. And we know it's a behavior and it sits above the surface of the water because it's a fact. So today I'm wearing a flowery blouse. I fancied doing something different than a sweat top. And that is the fact. So I'm wearing a flowery blouse. Now, in your internal narrative, you may think, well, that's a bit casual, maybe. That's a bit over the top, maybe. But whatever that story is that you then start to run isn't the fact. The fact is that I'm wearing a flowery top today. So let's hold that there as an example. Now, what is beneath the surface then? What don't we see just by looking at somebody? Well, we have our experiences. We have our relationship history, whether that's with friends or with partners. We have our family background. We have our health. Not everybody's health status is visible above the surface. And our educational history, qualifications that we may or may not have. Our culture and our hopes and fears. The list goes on, but all of these elements create what we can summarize as our values and our beliefs. It creates our own unique story. Now, some of these values and beliefs we are given during our upbringing, those parental influences or playground experiences when we were young. I can give you an example here of when I was a child. My mum always told me that if I went to bed with wet hair, that I would wake up in the morning with a stiff neck. At the time, I thought this is ridiculous. However, I have a daughter of my own now, and guess what? I've shared exactly the same story with her. I've gone ahead with it. I've created a belief around this thing, and I've now passed it on without checking the facts. There are other values and beliefs that we've picked up during our lives. It's a little like, as a metaphor, walking through a supermarket of your experiences. On the shelves are everything that you've encountered, the things that you've heard, the stories that you've been told, the feelings that they have created. And as we go along that supermarket, we will put into our trolley those experiences that have created those values and beliefs. And sometimes it becomes full. And we start to forget that these are important and why they were in there for the first place. So we may take them out and replace them with new ones. It's what makes us unique. So even twins that were born minutes apart, they may have shared a bedroom, the classroom when they were growing up, they were dressed the same by their parents. So they're going to have the same values and beliefs, aren't they? No. Because if one twin goes out one day on their own and witnesses a car accident, their beliefs between the two twins about what constitutes safety are going to be changed forever. These stories beneath the surface of the iceberg are where our unconscious biases sit. the stories that we've heard, the media we've absorbed, those parental influences, those relationship stories, and all of these things that are beneath the surface will drive the behaviour that we see. So take a moment to think about what goes on beneath the surface that can affect your behaviour. Does it hold you back when speaking up in meetings? Did somebody give you some feedback once that you maybe talked too much or didn't talk enough? Beneath that surface, a small value or a belief will have been created, and therefore it will impact the behaviour that you bring in those sessions. Has it ultimately impacted your confidence? So ask yourself, what are the values and beliefs that you have regarding inclusion and diversity? Where do they come from? What impact do they have on what you do? What would you like to believe instead? And if you were to change that belief, what difference could this make? And then you work in teams. So with your teams, we already know from this model that we are complete individuals. Our stories beneath the surface are unique and will drive different behaviour. So when you see a certain behaviour, you may try and decode that. But the truth is, that is your belief and value trying to summarise what you're seeing. The simplest way of finding out what's really going on with the behaviour that you see in others is to say, I noticed this. How helpful is that for you? And how can I help you too? And make sure that you're sticking to the behaviour that you've seen and it's factual rather than your opinion. And within that exchange, ensure that the language that you're using is positive. So not stop doing, think about what you want to encourage the person to start doing. I hope you found this session useful. Good luck and thank you for your time.